The Scum Villain's Self-Saving System, Chapter 10. Audio source, wuxia-world-audiobook.com. Chapter 10. Tien. Been super busy this week, so I'll be posting this unedited version up first. Next week should be a double release if all goes well to avoid the Chapter 11 cliff E3. Happy Father's Day. Though he was hurried away by the person whose life he'd saved with great effort, Xiāng Tóngxiù was very satisfied. The Lu Qing who died by his hands in the original work was accidentally saved by him instead. If he could have good relations with this person, Xiāng Tóngxiù wouldn't be afraid of anyone, even if all his enemies showed up together at his front door. Even if he took it a step back in his plan to develop his good disciple Lu Wobing was unsuccessful. Lu Qing, as the Bison Peak Lord, at least had the strength to fight against the protagonist for a round. Why didn't the system have a strategy or an intelligence value? He could have used those points. The system expressed its unwillingness to communicate with this person. In the caves, there was neither sun nor moon. Xiāng Tóngxiù didn't feel like he'd done much before the day came for him to exit the spirit caves. His eyes closed, Xiāng Tóngxiù sat cross-legged on the stone platform. He waited until the last of the spirit power circulated throughout his limbs and bones before he opened them. He had devoted himself to cultivating for several months and was now able to freely use the spirit power in his body, even improving his cultivation foundation by another level. The state increased the amount of control he had over his body to 100%, even solving his awkwardness. The brilliance of his eyes was greatly different. Xiāng Tóngxiù jumped down from the stone table, feeling that his body was very light and easy. It was just as though his four limbs were like a light breeze, his body positively old and awkward in the past. Of course, this could also just be his own subjective feelings. The time he was in seclusion had felt like pressing fast forward on a video. If it were in a novel, it would be finished in a chapter. Before leaving, he felt that he should greet the big brother next door. He pried open the stone door. Xiāng Tóngxiù cleared his throat and said, "Apprentice brother, you are aware of the situation? This senior brother has already finished advancing in cultivation and is going to go up." His voice wasn't very loud, but was definitely enough for a cultivator like Lu Qing to hear, echoing in the empty cave. Since there wasn't any response from that end, Xiāng Tóngxiù didn't care. Expressing his good intentions was enough. In accordance to his will, a strong wind under his feet carried them out of the spirit caves into the upcoming storm. That was right, storm. Calculating the days, it was about time for this incident. The scene to follow was very important and could be considered one of the foremost little in proud immortal demon way. Demon evildoers had managed to infiltrate into Kangchong sect, triggering a chaotic commotion between humans and demons. And the book's two important female leads would also appear in this commotion and start to notice Lu Wobing. The spirit caves were separated from the outside world. Inside the caves was peace and quiet. Once he exited the caves, he was met with Chongding peaks at aflame. All around were disciples in a messy confusion, alarms ringing everywhere. Xiāng Tóngxiù understood that the demon realm's evildoers had already advanced on the mountain. He really arrived at such a coincidental time. Just when he got this idea, he got caught up with this riot. Some disciples under who knows what master saw him and immediately piled over. Martial Uncle Shen, you've finally come out. There's big trouble. The demon realm's people have gone up Chongding Peak and hurt many of our apprentice brothers. Xiāng Tóngxiù touched one with his hand and unperturbed said, "Calm. Where is the sect head?" Disciple A cried. "The sect head went down the mountain outside to do something. If it wasn't for this, the demon realm's people wouldn't take the opportunity to attack us." Disciple B angrily said, "Demon realm people are really despicable. Not only did they swoop in, they even want to break the rainbow bridge linking the 12 peaks. Chongding Peak completely has no way to get support from other peaks. Xiāng Tóngxiù already knew and was only asking. Right now he was genuinely real goods at a fair price, one his body full of power and energy. With a heroic air that seemed to break through the skies, he said, "No need to panic. My Kangchong Peak is a strong and large division. If we deal with them, I'm afraid not even a remnant will be left of these demon realm people." Once he finished speaking, he rushed towards the path. The disciples suddenly felt like they'd found their backbones and followed behind Xiāng Tóngxiù like a train. Along the way, the headless flies buzzing around also followed them. They didn't know what happened but followed along anyway. In the end, the line grew longer and longer until they arrived in front of Chongding's audience hall. At the entrance of Chongding Peak's gate, Kangchong sect guards encircled and suppressed the invading demons. Because of the scene, all of Chongding Peak's disciples, coincidentally, all gathered on Chongding Peak and met the Xiāng Tóngxiù who had recently left seclusion. Xiāng Tóngxiù's first glance was to look for Luo Bing's figure. As expected, he was standing in the middle of the crowd, looking solemn. Having not seen him for a while, he'd grown a lot taller. His young man's stature was like bamboo, giving off a fresh and elegant feeling, very eye-catching. Seeing that the protagonist had arrived, Xiāng Tóngxiù could calm down and turn his attention towards the enemy. In front of the resplendent and magnificent Chongding Hall, more than 100 clusters of demonic energy were emitted. The leader of the demon invasion this time is clearly only a 15-year-old girl. In his heart, Xiāng Tóngxiù laughed excitedly. She's come out. She's finally come out. Even though the demonic style of dress is bizarre and exotic, this young girl's style is exceptionally unusual. She had a full head of black hair combed into tiny braids, a white complexion, rich and bold eye makeup, and bright crimson lips. Though her age was small, it was easy to see hints of her future glamorous and compelling beauty. Because the day was hot, she wore light clothes that were practically just a few bolts of red veils wrapped around her body. Around her wrists and ankles were silver rings, every movement giving rise to the jingling of small bells. Her bare, snow-white feet touched the ground. Xiāng Tóngxiù couldn't restrain himself from taking a second look at her. It's not out of lecherous hoodlum behavior, but traveling on bare feet all these tens of thousands of li from the demon realm over mountains and waters, young miss. Don't your feet hurt? Wrong. That's not the main point. The main point was that this was the #1 popular heroine in the novel Proud Immortal Demon Way, Demon Saint, Xia Huling. Xia Huling was a pure-blooded demon, cruel and ruthless, cunning and artful, but fell irrevocably for Luo Bing. After getting together with Luo Bing, don't even speak about killing for him. She even dared to do an outrageous thing like betraying the demons for him. Although this brainlessly infatuated sister invited criticism, nothing could be done. Such a passionately devoted woman was difficult for a man to dislike. Unfortunately, such a spicy hot sister is destined to fall into someone else's lap. Xiāng Tóngxiù couldn't resist anymore and glanced towards Luo Bing. Just then, Luo Bing's eyes also swept over unintentionally, and their gazes met. Their eyes suddenly widened. Luo Bing seemed about to speak but hesitated, excited. Xiāng Tóngxiù nodded his head at him. At this moment, the rainbow bridge linking the 12 peaks was cut apart. All the other peak lords were not on the scene, but Xiāng Tóngxiù, this elder, was here, his presence undoubtedly emboldening the disciples. Ming Fan shouted, "Demon girl, my Shifu is already here, see you if you dare to be arrogant anymore." People gathered more and more, many hundreds of angry disciples in uniform circling in formation and trapping the invaders in the hall. A few demons wanted to take the opportunity to break through, but Xiāng Tóngxiù's 2 hands flashed, raising them up and throwing them back to Xia Huoling's feet. Xia Huoling was very clever and resourceful. She was arrogant earlier and bullied Chongding Peak disciples because there were no elders on the scene. WuxiaWorldAudio.com. Now, the situation didn't seem good and she quickly changed her tune. My purpose coming up the mountain this time originally isn't to fight. I only wanted to compete skill with Kangchong Mountain Sec's many talents. My family was curious and wanted to come up the mountains to exchange pointers 3 to see what would happen. Shen Qingchu waved his fan and said, well said, well said. Though you explain your manner as seeking to exchange pointers, why do you have to choose to do it while our sect heads away? Why must you cut apart our rainbow bridge? What need is there to wound so many of our sect's disciples? I've never seen such a way to seek pointers. Xiaohuling bit her lips and pulled out her own young girl's weapon. She lifted a stray hair from her cheek and slowly said, this person must be that elder Shu Ya's sword, Shen Qingchu, who moved the world. Sure enough, seeing is believing. This Linger is young and has failed to control her subordinates. If she has offended you, may this immortal master be magnanimous and forgiving. Though her language is soft, Shen Qingchu is not one bit moved. He was more clear about the sequence of events than anyone. The Demon Realm's invasion this time was because Xiaohuling had just been appointed as the demon race's saint. Her ambition was as high as the skies, but she couldn't ground herself in reality. She wanted to enter Kangchong Mountain Sec's first peak in one fell swoop and seize Chongding Peak's engraved sign. Bringing it back to the Demon Realm as spoils of war and proof of her achievement. At the same time, she would use it as a demonstration to the immortal realm. Shen Qingchu said, can this young miss say her judgment now? Unwilling to submit, Xiaohuling said, although right now my family is weak, that is only because you have many people. That's why Linger doesn't dare make a judgment. Shen Qingchu put on the airs of an elder as smoothly as a fish back in water and said, oh. With red lips and shing teeth, Xiaohuling offered a way that seemed fair and just. Why don't we each choose 3 representatives and hold 3 matches here right now? In the original work, this section was considered a small major plot point so Shen Qingchu could remember it fairly clearly. The first trial was Shen Qingchu versus the demon single-armed elder. In order to highlight Shen Qingchu's scum qualities, he used despicable methods to win. Comparing him to Luo Bing's open and above-board behavior in the third match resulted in a strong contrast. And here, Shen Qingchu won't easily discredit his own image. The single-armed elder was a purple-black color all over his body, silent. He listened to Xiaohualing's direction and walked forward to a spot of open ground. Shen Qingchu's own division disciples at the outskirts cheered him on. He knows this single-armed elder had some weight. He gave a small smile. You only have 1 arm. Even if I win like this, it is still not an honest victory. Oh, then what do you want to do? Shen Qingchu smiled slightly, spreading his fan open with a shake. He waved it twice. I don't need even a single hand. End chapter 10. 1 real goods at a fair price, a pretty self-evident saying meaning that something or someone's the real deal. 2 Xiaohuling, Hua Ling means magnificent, splendid bell. 3 compete skill. To exchange pointers, going to explain this in case anyone's confused. In the Zhonghu or martial arts world, it's common to ask for a fight and compare skills. It can also be called exchanging pointers, or if done right, it's a good learning opportunity for the participants and sometimes spectators as well. Of course this is just BS Xiaohuling is spitting out. XD. End chapter.